What would it take to make you fall back in love with something you'd been neglecting? Not guilt, not obligation, something that pulls you back season after season because it's beautiful and because it matters and because you want to feel the difference it makes when you show up. I've been thinking a lot about this lately because of peonies. Welcome back to Sunshine Strategies Radio, your family friendly source for news that matters here in central Illinois and beyond. I'm Jen McMillin. Grab your beverage. Let's get into it. Friends, I'm afraid I'm turning into one of those obnoxious plant ladies. Because in the past few years, I've become a bit obsessed with peonies. It was a natural addition to my obsessions since there are so many planted in cemeteries. Their ridiculously vibrant blooms, reds, pinks, and whites, make me happier than I can explain to you. And in my guerrilla gardening way, I found a patch of peonies earlier this week at an abandoned property in Lincoln on my way to visit a friend. Now, the rules of guerrilla gardening are very similar to foraging. Respect first, improve what you find, and only remove if ethically permitted. Knowing that the old school wasn't being used, I didn't feel bad stopping to clean up the garbage that was there. Mostly cups and disposable gloves for some reason. And as usual, I didn't have a bag, but there was already one on the ground. Then I turned to the flower beds. Most of them were empty, with the exception of the little one in front. The tulips were already spent, but the peonies. One white, tinged in the middle with pink, the other a deep burgundy. They were old, by my guess. Over time, the plant grows and spreads, and these were about 4 feet across each. Now, did you know that peonies can live up to 100 years? 100 years. That means they're hardy. They can withstand harsh climates, extreme weather, long periods of neglect. They can endure quite a bit and still come back, still push through the soil each spring, still reaching towards the light. And when they bloom, which is only for a short time, they bring beauty, fragrance, and a fullness to the world around them that is hard to describe unless you've stood next to one on a warm spring morning. But their value goes way beyond the blooms. Peonies have been used medicinally for centuries. They're symbols of prosperity and possibility in many cultures. Most people only see the flower. They don't know what the plant is capable of. Sound like anything else we might be underestimating? But here's the issue with peonies. They do best when tended to. The large blooms sometimes need support, and to keep them blooming through the summer, it's best to deadhead them regularly, to clip the spent flowers so that the plant can put its energy into what comes next. It's a feature that encourages families to visit the plants frequently and anyone who happens to be planted nearby. So, drooping peonies always makes me feel a bit sad. The small act of trimming, propping, and tidying up, it's a meditation for me, and one that recently left me with several fragrant blossoms to share at my Rotary meeting. I'm afraid peonies aren't the only thing being neglected from generations past either. Civic life is another, and one that we talk about on this podcast a lot. Where peonies are the reminder to tend to our elders in cemeteries, voting has been there to remind us to pay attention to our communities and our families. A reminder that I'm proud to know is rising, but not enough, and not in a sustained way. Because here's what I've learned from the plants: democracy, like a peony, can survive a lot. It's harder than we give it credit for. It has deep roots. It's been here longer than we have, and if we do our part, it will outlast us too. But surviving isn't the same as thriving. For the best results for almost anything, From peonies to democracy, sustained attention is needed. Not obsession, not obsessively watching the news or forcing blooms to open, but participation in and respect for all the aspects that bring success. The watering, the deadheading, the showing up, even when nothing is blooming yet. The peonies I found at the abandoned school in Lincoln, they'd been there doing their thing for probably decades. No one planted them recently. No one was tending to them, but they were still there, still alive, still capable of blooming. They just needed someone to notice, to stop, to care enough to spend a few minutes with them. That's what I'm asking of all of us today and throughout the year. Not a revolution, not an obsession. Just stop, notice, and tend. The blooms really are worth it. All right, now on to our Central Illinois news of the week. Speaking of tending what's been neglected, Decatur's had a pretty meaningful moment this week. On Tuesday morning, about 200 people gathered at Scovill Park West for the groundbreaking of what is officially being called the Clubhouse at Scovill Acres, the Decatur Park District's long-awaited new senior facility. I love everything about that name, by the way. They chose Clubhouse deliberately, I'm sure. Not senior center, not a building that signals that you've reached some sort of twilight. A clubhouse, a place where you belong, where people want to be, and where connection is the whole point. The new building will be 5 times the size of the current center, which already sees more than 100 visitors a day and serves around 30 people at lunch daily. What's coming includes an indoor walking track, a pickleball court, a workout area, a game room, and community rooms. The works. Park District Executive Director Clay Gerhard said something that stuck with me. What started as a place for recreation has grown into something much more meaningful. Over the years, our senior center has quietly become one of the most important programs we provide. 2 women at the groundbreaking, Happy Whiteside, 73, and Sharon Wagner, 82, told reporters that they were looking forward to more space. Sharon said that socialization is very important. Happy said that they needed a bigger space. They come for bingo, but they stay for each other. That's the whole thing. They come for the activity and they stay for the people. The new clubhouse at Scovill Acres is expected to open next summer. And if you have gently used furniture to donate before then, the Park District is accepting it now. A real true community tending to itself. And also in Decatur, an old downtown building is getting a second act. The city approved a project that will renovate the upper floors of a historic building into 10 new apartments, with an anticipated completion date of late 2027. Details on the specific location are still emerging, but this is a part of a continuing push to bring more residential life back to the heart of downtown Decatur. And again, I have a very soft spot for this kind of thing. Old buildings that have been neglected and waiting for someone to see their potential. Now, over in Lincoln, the conversation about a proposed $5 billion data center is still very much alive and moving into a new chapter. Here's where things stand so far. Miami-based Hut 8 Corporation wants to build a 500 megawatt data center, now being called the Logan Prairie Data Center, on about 250 acres of farmland near Latham. The project has promised roughly 200 permanent jobs and over 1,500 temporary construction jobs. The big number that's gotten a lot of attention, though, at 8 is now guaranteeing Logan County schools and local governments $65 million a year in annual payments if the project goes through. A pledge made by the company's senior vice president of energy at a contentious 3-hour county board meeting on April 29th. That sounds impressive, but opponents have pushed back, noting that independent estimates based on how a comparable Meta data center was assessed suggest that the actual tax benefits could be closer to $16 million a year. Real money, but a long way from that $65 million number. The 60-day moratorium from the county board passed earlier this year has expired without extension. The approval process has also been complicated by the recent resignation of District 5 County Board member Michael DeRoss. Now, the path forward runs through two advisory bodies. The Logan County Regional Planning Commission met on May 6th, and the Zoning Board of Appeals met last night on May 7th, both at the Oasis Senior Center, to consider a proposed ordinance that would allow data centers as a conditional use in agricultural zones. Now, that's modeled after what Sangamon County did, but with some stronger protections, including a required financial decommissioning plan if the site is ever abandoned. The board is now targeting a special zoning meeting on May 13th to continue working through the details. After that, any new rules would still need a final vote from the full county board. Opposition remains strong. Concerns about water use, farmland loss, and electricity rates, as well as the validity of Hut 8's financial projections, are all still on the table. Some residents say that they don't want an ordinance at all because they don't want a data center under any conditions and want to wait and see what the state does with proposed legislation that would put more responsibility on the data centers for their power consumption. This one is far from over. So if you live in Logan County, May 13th is your next chance to weigh in. The agenda includes a possible new moratorium and continued work on the zoning ordinance. Now, on a lighter note out of Logan County, Mount Pulaski High School teacher Tricia Campbell has made it into the top 5 of the National America's Favorite Teacher contest. The grand prize? $25,000 trip to Hawaii, a feature in Reader's Digest, and a school assembly with Bill Nye, the science guy. Can I come? Voting is open to the public, so if you want to see a Central Illinois educator bring that kind of recognition home to Logan County, look up America's Favorite Teacher and cast your vote for Tricia Campbell. I will put some links in the show notes. Now, this is exactly what I want to hear more of, a teacher being seen and celebrated. All right, now over in DeWitt County, and really everywhere, it's prime fishing season. But if you've never been to Clinton Lake yet, you need to go. It really is one of the best fishing lakes in the state of Illinois, and spring is when it shines. The spillway area is producing walleye and stripers right now, along with crappie and catfish. This huge lake sits on over 4,000 acres, and there are 6 public boat ramps with accessible fishing piers at least 3 spots. So you don't have to have a boat to have a great day. And if you want to watch some serious competition while you're at it, there are 2 tournaments coming up worth knowing about. On May 22nd, high school bass teams from across Illinois will be on the water for an IHSA tournament. And then on May 31st, Clinton Lake hosts the Illinois Bass National Youth Series State Tournament, up to 150 boats and young anglers competing for largemouth. It's a great event to watch, even if you're not competing. And while you're out there, do me a favor and pack an extra bag. It takes all of us to help keep the public spaces around the lake clean. So just take a grocery bag when you head out and pick up whatever you find along the bank, yours or someone else's. Leave it better than you found it because us humans, we are gross. Moving on to Christian County, the Conservation Day program had 4th graders from across the county getting hands-on lessons in environmental stewardship. And if you're looking for some fun this Mother's Day weekend, the fairgrounds in Taylorville are hosting Mother's Day Mayhem, a demolition derby event on Saturday, May 9th. Activities start at 4 p.m. and the crashing will start at 5. They've even got a Power Wheels event for the little ones. Over in McLean County, in Bloomington Normal, Angie Codron, principal of Normal West High School, was named one of 2 winners in the 2026 Golden Apple Award for Excellence in Leadership. Now, the Golden Apple is one of Illinois' most recognized honors in education. And then over at Illinois State University, striking AFSCME Local 1110 members reached a tentative agreement with the university late Monday night. That's a resolution worth watching as the semester winds down. And we cannot forget to talk about the wild weather that we had. On Monday, a dust storm warning was issued for communities between Decatur and Bloomington, with near zero visibility and blowing dust reported on parts of Route 121 near Latham. Communities including Clinton, Maroa, Leroy, Hayworth, Wapella, and many others were in the advisory area. Now, along US Route 136, it was temporarily closed between Route 54 and McLean Champaign County line until the visibility improved. So, this is Central Illinois in May, friends. We clearly don't do boring, and I want you to continue to check your emergency weather alerts. Now, as we close out, I do want to highlight something from Shelley Crawford Stock with the Monticello Chamber of Commerce. She says that there is a lot happening over in Piatt County this weekend: live music, outdoor dining, and plant sales. Plant sales? Seems like we just talked about peonies. I really couldn't have planned that better if I tried. So make sure you get out and do something fun this weekend and buy an extra plant for us. In closing, this week is a lot of roots for me. Roots of community care, a clubhouse built for seniors who deserve more than a cramped room and a little bingo card. Roots of civic engagement, a county full of people showing up to meetings, asking hard questions, and demanding that their voices count. Roots of recognition, a teacher at the top 5 a national contest just because someone noticed. None of this is a revolution, and none of it requires obsession. It just requires people showing up, stopping, noticing, and tending. Again, my name's Jen McMillin. Thank you for being here for this community, and if you're a listener to Sunshine Strategies Radio on the regular. I hope that you get out and enjoy some flowers. The blooms are really worth it.